Hello all, welcome. So today we will see Hello Node Kubernetes. So let's see the overview. The goal of this hands-on lab is for you to turn the code that you have deployed into a replicated application running on Kubernetes, which is running on Kubernetes Engine. For this lab, the code will be a simple hello world node.js app. So here's the diagram of the various parts in play in this lab. To help you understand how the pieces fit together with one another, use this as a reference as you progress through the lab. It should all make sense by the time you get to the end. Okay, so now we will see the diagram. So if you can see, there is Google Cloud Shell. Okay, so we will enter our commands through the Cloud Shell. So we will interact with my hello world app. Okay, so we'll interact with it using kubectl. Okay, so this is the docker container. Okay, so docker container is available inside the Kubernetes cluster, and Kubernetes cluster is available under the Google Container Engine. Okay, and here we have a hello world docker image. Okay, that we will use here in the docker container. So it's stored inside the Google Container Registry. Okay, so this is the diagram. Okay, so Kubernetes is an open source project which can run on many different environments, from laptop to high availability multi node cluster, from public clouds to on-premise deployments, from virtual machine to bare metal. So for the purpose of this lab, using a managed environment such as Kubernetes Engine will allow you to focus more on experiencing Kubernetes rather than setting up the underlying infrastructure. Okay, what we will learn in this lab is create a node.js server, create a docker container image, create a container cluster, create a Kubernetes pod, and scale up your services. So let's see the prerequisite. So prerequisite are you should be familiar with standard Linux text editor such as vim, emacs x or nano will be helpful. Okay, so now we will set up the lab. So for setup we will click on the start lab. Now click on the open Google Cloud Console. It will automatically enter the username. Click on next. Now we will enter the password. Okay, click on next. Click on I understand. Click on terms and condition, agree and continue. Now we will activate the Cloud Shell. So click on activate Cloud Shell. Click on continue. Okay, now we will maximize the font text size. So using this command we will get the account name. Okay, click on authorize. Now we we can list the project ID using this command. So this is our project ID. Now the first task is we will create the node.js application. Okay, so using Cloud Shell we will write a simple node.js server that we will deploy to Kubernetes Engine. Okay, now we will write here our code. So for starting the editor we need to press I. Okay, so I will, now we can insert here. Okay, so we will add this content to the file. Okay, so content is added. Now we will save server.js file by pressing escape. Okay, and then we will enter :wq. First I press escape. Okay, now :wq and enter. Okay, now our file is saved. Okay, so now in the Cloud Shell we will execute this command. It will run our code. Okay, now we will check our code here. Okay, web preview. Let's see if it's available. Okay, it's printed hello world. Okay, now we will press the Ctrl C to stop the running node server. Okay, so I am pressing Ctrl C. It's stop now. Now the next task is create a Docker container image. Okay, so we will create a Docker file that describes the image you want to build. Docker container image can extend from other existing images. Now we will create a Docker file. Okay, now we will press I and add this content. Okay, now we can insert. Okay, now I am inserting the content. So the Docker image is saying that we will start from the node image found on the Docker hub. We will export it to port 8080 and copy our server.js file to the image and start the node server as we previously did manually. Okay, so now we will save the file by pressing escape and then enter :wq. Okay, so let me escape :wq, enter. Now our Docker file is saved. So build the image with the following by replacing the project ID. Okay, with our project ID found in the console and the lab detail section of the lab. Okay, so this is our project ID. So here we will replace our project ID to execute this. Okay, so let me first insert this command. Now I will take the project ID. Okay, so this is our command. Now I will execute this. Okay, it's done. Now we will run the following command by replacing project ID. Okay, let me take the project ID. Let me execute. Okay, so this is the output we get. Okay, now we will web preview this. Okay, so let me first close this. Let's try to preview. Okay, awesome, we will get the hello world. Okay, we can also call it. Okay, we will try this as well. Okay, so if you can see here, hello world. Okay, next we need to stop the running container. So for this we will first find our docker container id by running this command. Okay, this is our container id. Okay, okay, so for stopping the container we need to use this command docker stop and the container id. Okay, so let me take this. We'll take the container id from the above command output. Okay, 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 now it's stop. Now that the image is working as intended, we will push it to Google Container Registry, a private registry for your Docker images, accessible from your Google Cloud project. Okay, so now we will run the following command to configure Docker authentication. Okay, enter y. Okay, so now the Docker configuration file is updated. Now we will run this command and we will replace the project id. Okay, okay, now get the project id. Okay, okay, it's done. So the container image will be listed in our console, and we can see that using navigation menu and docker registry. Okay, so let's check this. on container registry. Okay, so this is the image. Okay, now the third task is we will create the cluster. Okay, so now we are ready to create Kubernetes Engine cluster. So a cluster consists of a Kubernetes master API server hosted by Google and a set of worker nodes. The worker nodes and are compute engine virtual machines. Okay, so now we will use this command. Okay, here we will replace the project ID. Okay, it's updated. Now we will create a cluster with 2 and 1 standard 1 nodes. Okay, it's completed. So the alternate way for creating the cluster is we can navigate to Kubernetes Engine, Kubernetes cluster and create the cluster. Okay, now it's time to deploy own containerized application to the Kubernetes cluster. So from now we will use kubectl command line. Okay, so we will check the progress. It's completed. Now the next task is we will create the pod. Okay, so a Kubernetes pod is a group of container tied together for administration and networking purpose. It can contain single or multiple container. Here you will use one container built with your node.js image stored in your private container registry. It will serve content on the port 8080. So now we will create a pod with kubectl run command. Okay, and here we will replace the project ID with our project ID. Okay, so now let's create a pod. Replace the project ID. Okay, so it's done. Now we'll view the deployment by running this command. done. So to view the pod created by the deployment, we will run this command. So this is our pod. Okay, so now we will use some kubectl command. Okay, it will give us the info of the cluster. Okay, so this is our cluster info. Now we will use kubectl config view. We can view the configuration. Okay, so this is the configuration of our cluster. Okay, and we can use this command for troubleshooting. Okay, now we will check our progress. It's completed. Now the next task is we will allow external traffic. Okay, so by default the pod is only accessible by its internal IP within the cluster. So in order to make the hello node container accessible from outside the Kubernetes virtual network, you have to expose the pod as a Kubernetes service. Okay, so from Cloud Shell, you can expose the pod to the public internet with the kubectl expose command combined with the // type equal to double quote load balancer flag, and this flag is required for the creation of an externally accessible IP. Okay, okay, now it's exposed. Now to find the publicly accessible address of the service, request kubectl to list all the cluster services. Okay, so we will list all the cluster services using this command. Okay, so here there are two IPs addresses listed for hello node service, so both serving port 8080. So the cluster IP is the internal IP. Okay, so this is the internal IP that is only visible inside your cloud virtual network, and the external IP is the external load balance IP. Okay, so now now we able to reach the service by pointing the browser to this address. Okay, so now we will use the external IP to check our output. Okay, okay, we will execute once again the command because our external IP is pending. Okay, now we receive the external IP for node hello node. We have copied this, so see here we receive the output as hello world. Okay, so it's completed. We will check the progress. Awesome, it's done. Now we will scale our services. Okay, so one of the powerful feature offered by Kubernetes is how easy it is to scale your application. Suppose you suddenly need more capacity, you can tell the replication controller to manage a new number of replicas for your pod. Okay, so to set the number of replicas for your pod, we will execute this command. So here we are passing for 4 replicas. Okay, we need 4 replicas. Okay, so it's scale up to 4. Now we will request a description of the updated deployment. Okay, so if you can see, 2 are ready out of 4. Okay, so we will execute again. Okay, so now 4 of 4 are ready. Now we will list all the pods. Okay, so these are all the pods. Okay, so before only one pod is available, so we have replicate it to up to 4. Okay, so a declarative approach is being used here. Rather than starting or stopping new instances, you declare how many instances should be running at all times. So Kubernetes reconciliation looks make sure that reality matches what you requested and takes action if needed. So here's the diagram summarizing the state of your Kubernetes cluster. Okay, now we will check the progress. Now we will roll out an upgrade to our service. Okay, so at some point the application that we have deployed to production will require bug fixes or additional feature. So Kubernetes help you deploy a new version to production without impacting your user. Okay, so first we will modify the application by opening server.js. Okay, okay, so here we will update the response message. Okay, so we will add hello Kubernetes world. Okay, okay, we need to press I for inserting. Now we can insert. Okay, so this is our new response. Okay, now we will save this. So for this, first escape. Okay, colon wq enter. It's done. Now we will run the command by replacing the project id. Get the project id. Okay, it's done. Okay, sorry, we forgot to replace the project id. Okay, so let me replace it. It's done. Now Kubernetes will smoothly update your application controller to a new version of the application. So in order to change the image label for your running container, you will edit the existing hello node deployment and change the image from this image to the hello node 2. Okay, so from version 1 to version 2. Okay, so to do this we will use kubectl edit command. Okay, okay, so now we need to look for SPC container image and change the version from v1 to v2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is SPC. is container, and here we need to update from version. Okay, need to press I, version 2. Okay, it's done. Now we will save this using first escape, now colon wq and enter. Now we will run the following command to update the deployment with the new image. Okay, it's done. Now we will test our knowledge. Okay, so which of the following are features of Kubernetes engine? Okay, so stateful application, management. Okay, so these are all the features of Kubernetes engine. So congratulations, we have completed this lab. So, and if you like this video, so please click on the like button, and if you have any question, any suggestion, so please put down your comments in the comment section, and please share this channel with your friends and colleagues. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.